Page 42, baseball. Well, this thing just looks all kinds of ugly, don't it? Good grief. When I look at music like this, sometimes I think, oh my God, I can't do this. What's going on? I have learned over the years is calm down. Let's just take it a little at a time and get into it and see if it can make sense. And most of the time it does, and sometimes it still doesn't make sense and I put it away. So let's look this over. It's 3 pages long, kind of long, you know. Treble and bass clef at the beginning. No sharps or flats in the key signature. When the key is C major, make sure you can do the C major scale. 1 octave is fine, 2 octaves is better, but make sure you're doing the trill exercise. That's what I'm after. And 3/4 time signature. Now this is where they're actually starting to introduce you to the scales. They're introducing you to the C major scale and the G major scale. Well, if you've been doing these scales like I suggested, this ought to be familiar. I mean, their fingering is different. That's fine. I'll talk about the fingering later. But the scale, all of these little run patterns going up, these are just scales. Right hand first. Now, on these 16th note runs going up, you got LH and RH for left hand and right hand. And you can go through if you want on the right hand and figure out what those are. You're just using 1, 2, 3, 4. You're not using the 5th finger. Just and here. Until the chords. And so you can go through on these 16th note patterns and figure out the hands on that. But on page 43 in the second line, second measure, you see the double bars? That means we're going into a new section. Remember, music can be in sections. This doesn't have an introduction or a coda. I don't know about the coda, but it doesn't have an introduction. But it does have sections. And when I have a long piece of music like this, I usually tackle it a section at a time. So it's like I would take this first section, the first page, and then a little bit of the second page, and I would get those down pretty well before going to the second section. But I want to talk about the second section. The right hand, we have triplets. 8th note triplets, 1 and 2 and 3 and or triple, triple, however you want to do it, and it's just a chord. 1 and come up. So I'm just going here. Here, and then I want you to come down. I'd like to prepare for that. I don't want to do here. So in the last note on that second line, rather than thumb, I'm going to use second finger. This way my thumb is ready. This way I'm ready to come down for the third line. And then in the third line, going from the second measure to the third measure, I don't want to come up here. I'm going to use 2, 4, 5, and then come up and use 1. So really, those are the notes, and the whole chord is extended like that, and that's fingering, so that's all I'm doing. So in the third line, second measure, you're starting out here, but then I'm just going to stretch out into this position, and I'm going here, and then once I'm here, I can collapse. And the 4th line down here, second measure, thumb here. This way I can reach up for the octave. It makes it a little easier. Now going on, you double bars, not going into a new section, and this section is like the first section. So if I've learned the first section already, this should be a piece of cake. But there, I just got to move here. There's no real, you just lift up and move. Left hand, well again, the left hand's got these 4. You're starting with 4, we're not using little fingers, just 4 here. And then the left hand does these. Now that's pretty much what it is on all these 16th note patterns. And then over on page 43, when you go into the second section, it's 3, 5. And then during the rest, come down for the third line. Then come back up. Now in the 4th line down, the first measure's here. During the rest, you come down here for the second. But then in the third measure, stay here. Just bring the thumb up and go here. Here and then C. There, you don't have to come back up here. That's silly to do that. Just stay here and here. So we put the hands together and see what this mess is. And a chord, and then it's a 4, 3, 2, 1, and then a 1, 2. Now you're going to to play the C again. See, that was just a C major scale we just did. Different fingering that we've been using, but a lot of books do teach these 4 finger chords or scales. I don't like it, but that's what they're doing. Get the left hand up here. You're gonna do that. You're gonna do it again up here. Do it again. We're gonna do G major scale. You're gonna play the G twice. C major scale. That's all this is. Just scale C major, G major in this pattern. Let's go to the second section here. It'll be the second line on page 43 after the double bars. Where the triplets are, you're here. 1 and 2. And then come down. That's that section. Let's go over to page 44. And here we just got these scales just over and over and over and over. So let's go down to the last 2 lines on page 44, starting with the second measure of the 4th line. You're here, and then the C major scale, and then again, and then here. Now we're going to go down. Play the C again, and the last 2 measures. I suggest you go ahead and use thumb on that C, and hold it down when you do that, and then here together. So you go through and work out the hands okay, and then go back through very slowly and carefully, take out the hesitations. Now, it may be a bit of a challenge going from the 16th note duple feeling to the triple feeling in the second section, because take a look at page 43, second line. We're on these 1E and a 2E and a 1E and a 2E and a 3E and a 1 and a 2 and a. So you go 1E and a 2E and a 3E and a 1 and a 2 and a 3 and a. Now, if it'll help you, start thinking triplets in the last beat of that first measure. 1E and a 2E and a 3 and a 1, and you can switch there. We have to be able to go back and forth between duple and triple counting, but you'll get it so much you'll get it eventually. But the ultimate beat, the beat of the pulse stays the same. Now, once we have all that mess worked out, then we think about the articulation. And the staccatos are going to be short and flexing at the wrist. And you'll notice at the beginning of this chord, above it, there's that little arrow. That is the symbol for a marcato. We've had the word marcato, but this is the symbol. A marcato is simply a strong accent. The sideways arrow would be an accent. You play it a little louder. The marcato is definitely louder. It's MF. Well, an accent would take it up to F. The marcato takes it up to FF, very loud. Yeah, and then it's mezzo forte, and so it's loud and staccato. I'm on the key and I'm bouncing off. And then I'm going to connect all this. Marcato. Yeah, they got boom. Keep the wrist flexible. Now when you get over to page 43 in the second section, second line, second measure, here you're going to connect this. That staccato, don't accent it or nothing, it's just staccato. And then you're back on the other section to the marcato and connect the runs. At the bottom of page 44, after the run, the last 2 measures, that's an accent now. That's a sideways arrow. That's not a marcato, it's just an accent. So it's, you just play a little louder. And then staccato, hold that down. And now both hands are accented. So it only takes it up to the loud because you were at mezzo forte, an accent goes to forte, the marcato would go to fortissimo. Actually, I sort of already talked about the dynamics. They don't give you a lot in it. It's on the loud side. It's moderately loud. Whatever you think moderately loud is. Mezzo forte. But those marcatos, those are going to be very loud. Get into it and get to feeling it. And if you feel like getting a little louder and softer in places, that's fine. Go with that. As far as the speed goes, well, that depends on your 16th notes. How fast can you play those accurately? Because we're not talking speed of the beat. We're talking the overall feel of the piece. And when you have a lot of little notes like this, 16, that slows it down. So if I go 1, 2, 3, 1, see, that's slow, sort of. But with the 16th notes, that's, I mean, if I go 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, it makes the 16th notes too fast. It's too fast. So take it down. It doesn't need to go that fast. You'll have to decide on your speed. Now, when you get to the section B with the triplets, you need to keep it at the same speed. There's no indication to change. See, sometimes in another section or something, they'll give a different speed because you can change speeds of a piece. But they're not doing that here, so I would say keep it the same speed. So whatever your speed is, so 1, 2, 3, whatever that is, that's what you're doing here. 1, 2. Well, keep it all at the same speed. Please don't copy me. You get into it, you make it yours. You go your speed, you go your dynamics, what you feel it should be. It just gives you an idea what it might sound like. Now we have that page turn we have to deal with. Let's talk about it. Again, ideally you memorize the piece, you don't have to worry about it. It's very repetitious. Or at least maybe you memorize page 44. Then you don't have to worry about it. Or you get somebody to turn the page for you. You have to turn it yourself. Well, we got to figure out a way to do it without messing up the beat. Don't mess up the beat because you're turning pages. And the hands are kind of busy. I don't know what to tell you on that, except if you've been practicing the scales like I've been trying to get you to, maybe you can play the last measure of page 43 all in one hand. Here, rather than going here, play it in one hand. Play it all in one hand. If you can do that, here, then you got the left hand that try to turn the page for you there too. I have to leave it up to you to figure out how you're going to turn this page. Just don't mess up the beat when you do it. That's all I can say. Now let's play it together very slowly and check the notes and the rhythms. I can't do the page turn and play with me. It doesn't work. I've tried it, it doesn't work. So I'm going to do pages 42 and 43, and then I'm going to stop. I'm going to turn the page, exactly what I told you not to do. I'm going to count in again, another 3 counts, and then do page 44. We're just checking notes and rhythms. We're not performing it. So let's take it really, really super slow. I'll give us 3 counts. Now, because there's 16th notes all over the place, and we want to go really super slow, I've slowed the metronome down to 8th notes. So it's beating 8th notes. It's a 1 and 2 and 3 and. That way the 16th notes are just 1 knee and 1 knee and 1. About that speed. That works well until we get to the second section when it's triplets. 1 and 2 and 1 and 2. It's every 2 beats is a beat. 1 and 2 and so maybe get a little confusing on that. There's not a lot I can do about it. I'm sorry. That's just the way it is. So let's try this at the speed and see if we can get this. 1 and 2 and go and 1 knee and and 1 knee and and turn the page. 1 and ready and go and 3 and 1 and 1 knee and and 3 and 1 and 2